Today we have the Acura Integra Type S. The return of the Acura Integra high performance version is finally here, and we are driving it today. It's such a blast to drive. They've done such an amazing job. It's based on the Civic Type R, the FL5 chassis, but there are a lot of little differences that make a big difference in the way it drives and feels. We'll go over that a little bit. But it is a blast to drive. It was actually it's a very serious effort by Honda to do this, because it was developed with Yoshiaki Akimoto, who was the chief engineer behind the GSR engine, the S2000 AP1 motor, the F1 engines. So they didn't just stick some badges and stickers and call a Honda Civic and an Acura Integra. They actually went through, and it was developed at two different continents, two different factories, a bunch of different engineers. They all came with their own interpretation of what the car should be. So can't wait to go drive in it. So let's go and let's see how it goes.
Maze in a maze. They try to count us out.
Wheel of the new Acura Integra Type S. Can't wait to drive this thing, because it is such a blast. Spent just a little bit of time driving it earlier, and haven't really had a chance to get to drive it that much, but already I could tell it's just such a driver-focused car. It feels fantastic. They've done a lot of different things on this car. The air intake is larger with more vents, because the old generation car was known for overheating. If you drove it for a long time on the track or anything like that, after a few laps it would overheat. So they've done a lot of work on that. The aluminum hood has vents on it to get the heat out of the engine. They made a wide body that make because these fat 265/30/19 tires are Michelin Pilot Sport 4S's, by the way. They are much wider, and of course they widened the track by 3 inches, so they had to add the fender flares on it. Really nice job. It looks really mean. It's wide, mean, aggressive looking, and it looks like it came to play. It's not a play thing here. This is a serious performance car. On that, because it's also a serious car, it came with these fantastic, I don't know if you can see them, but they are fantastic bucket seats, more aggressive bolsters on the Type S, and they work really well. They're super comfortable on long hauls, but they're very supportive if you drive on the track and things. And also, because being a very serious performance car, there's no moonroof option. That's been deleted. There's no automatic transmission. That's been deleted. So you don't get any of that stuff. You just get the good stuff. You get heads-up display. That's standard. You get a 9.9-inch touchscreen infotainment center, which works really well. Has Apple CarPlay, all those kind of things that you want, all standard. None of those are option. Typical Honda, they make it simple and they just give you everything included. Of course, under the hood, you have a 320 horsepower 4-cylinder turbo. It's the same engine, the K20 C8 that you get in the Civic Type R, except that they have done slightly different things to the turbo and to the tuning. So it has a little bit 5 more horsepower, 320 compared to 315, but a lot more mid-range, less top end. So they sacrifice a little bit of top end for the mid-range, and let me tell you that the throttle response that this thing has, it's incredible. It is as soon as you touch the gas pedal, there is really no waiting for the turbo to kick in, and this thing just goes. That's really one of the key things that makes it so much fun, especially driving it on the street compared to on the track. because really, unless you're really going to race this thing, how often are you going to be driving it on the track, and how often you're going to be driving on the street? So that's one of the things that I look at least, and this is a much better car for me for driving every day. If you were going to drive it on the track, you probably want to get an FL5 Civic, but driving it on the street, this thing is perfect. So some of the other standard features that they give you on this car, compared to, if you want to compare it to Civic, is it comes with a much better stereo. It comes with a 16-speaker, 530-watt stereo. It's got a subwoofer in the trunk. It's got speakers galore everywhere, and also the way the exhaust valve opens on the exhaust, because it has the triple exhaust pipes. In regular mode, if you're driving in comfort mode, it only opens up the secondary ports when you are flooring it and you're at high revs. Whereas if you're in, for example, in Sport Plus mode, all three of them are open at all times. So little differences like that. Same brakes, 13.8-inch front rotors compared to 12-inch rear rotors. 4-piston calipers. The brakes are actually one of the very strong suits of this car. They are fantastic. They work really well, even on the track after driving them really hard. There's no fade. The pedal stays rock solid. So that part's been really given them some attention to, and they've given it a lot of attention to that. And they've also developed the brakes, so there's a great balance, brake balance front to rear, and the ABS works wonderful. So that part's great. The wheels on this car are actually also special too. They come with 19s. The older cars came with 20s, but these get 19s. And Acura actually said that the 19s on this car are lighter weight than the 18s that are on the A-Spec car. So that's interesting, because these are very lightweight wheels that they give you. And yet, despite all this, it still gets great gas mileage, 21 mpg on the city, 28 mpg on the freeway. So it's an economy car as well, if you want to call it that, except you do have to put 91 octane in it. But it's super fast, super fun. And the difference between this car and the Type R is the sound deadening. So on the Type R, that's a very classic thing. I believe all Type Rs have done so up to now, is no sound deadening on the Type Rs. Whereas this, it's the same level of sound deadening as on the regular Integra. But despite all the special features and the special stereo and everything, the only difference is 31 pounds between this car and the FK8. So you always wonder, these car companies that take all the stuff out, for 31 pounds to go through all this stuff, is it just advertising? Because does that make really any difference? If you're building a race car, I can see you don't want sound deadening because it just gets in the way, all the stuff down there, but it's cleaner if you just have metal. But anyway, that's one of the big things. And of course, the tuning of the throttle response is noticeably different, because this thing has a lot more mid-range, as we talked about. Also, the suspension is much softer on this car than on the FL5 Civic. This car, if you put it in Sport Plus, they say that the Sport Plus on this car is roughly equivalent to Sport on the Civic. So this one is a little bit softer, which is nice, because I think the Civic is way too harsh. Even on the track, it was way too harsh. So this has got the right balance, I think. And even in Sport Plus, driving it on the street, it never feels harsh or anything. It actually could be a little bit stiffer if they wanted to. But anyway, and inside, of course, the touches are unbelievable, because it's you never think that you're in a high-end luxury car, but this is still an Acura Integra, but still it's a very nice interior. The nice touches on this thing are really well done, and it always makes you feel really good, and everything is easy to see, easy to read. It's one of the typical things, like on some of the European cars, there are so many settings and gadgets to go through, and it takes you 20 minutes just to get going and have the right setting. Whereas in this, it's fairly simple, and all the menus are really easy to get to. Oh, here we go, the green light. So that part's nice. And as we said, it just goes where you point it, and the double axis front suspension is amazing at taking away torque steer, and it just feels so planted. You can go around a corner and you feel like you're on the edge of the limit, and you can turn in a little bit more. If you miss your apex, you can turn it a little bit more, and it always seems to have more grip. It's just so planted. It's crazy. But there are a lot of cars that may have just as much grip. What sets this apart is that it feels, first it talks to you, and secondly it feels really gentle. On some of the high horsepower sports cars, if you don't have the stability control, traction control on, it really makes you feel like this is going to kill me. You never know where the grip is, whereas on this, you know exactly what the car is doing, what's going on. It really talks to you about what the front wheels are doing, what the rear wheels are doing at all times. So that part is really nice, because you can afford to push the car and not worry that, oh my God, this thing is going to get out of hand. It's very confidence inspiring. So you can just throw it in the corner and know that it will stick. Stability control on or off or whatever. So that part's really nice. And of course the brakes are fantastic. And as far as price goes, this basically, depending on what you do, because there's not too many options and things, it's going to cost you around $54,000. That price is about $5,000 more expensive than Honda Civic Type R. So whether or not that $5,000 difference is important to you or not will make your choice. But I think this car looks a little bit better, and the amount of features that you get really is worth it. You know, it's much more comfortable to drive on the street, and you get a nicer stereo and things like that. So that seems like easily worth the extra $5,000. But anyway, be sure to get one and test drive one of these if you can, because you will love it. Like I said, it's super fast, and it just puts the power down so well, and it just goes. Yeah, it's incredible. It's such a blast. So if you like this video, please share and like it, and be sure to subscribe, and let us know what you think, and hopefully we'll see you next time. Thank you.
They try to count us out.